Alright, what's up everybody? I'm going to talk about some things. I really want to put it in perspective, and I want you to understand that the media has a lot to do with how people feel. And these issues are causing fear. Politicians feed off of your fear and promise some sort of solution via gun control. I challenge everyone watching this to go and research gun control's history. We had some recent shootings, mass shootings. One person dying is one too many, right? I think we can all agree on this. And let me just put some things out before I go further. I do not condone murder. I do not condone hate. I don't condone racism. I don't condone any type of violence towards innocent people. Period. In order for someone to go out and take innocent lives, they have to have hate in their heart. And hate don't discriminate. You can be black, you can be white, Asian, Korean, Mexican. It don't matter. You can be anyone and have hate in your heart. Gun control, that's not going to take hate from your heart. Gun control isn't going to stop anybody who wants to break the law. Criminals do not obey the law. So what makes you think more laws are going to stop criminals? Well, let's talk about these recent shootings. El Paso, Texas, and then Dayton, Ohio. El Paso, Texas, that was a Walmart. 22 people died, 24 people were injured. The dude had ear protection on. That really puts it in perspective because the guy had more concern about his hearing than he did about the lives he was taking. To think that there was any other reason than just hate in his heart that caused them to do this is fucking ignorant. All these people are cowards. Dayton, Ohio, happened at a bar. 9 people died, by the way. 27 were injured. 14 of them were injured from gunfire. This is a very important fact. The Dayton, Ohio shooter, which like I said, I'm not going to name any names because I'm not going to give him that sort of gratitude that the media likes to do. But, Dayton, Ohio used to be the murder capital of the world. So the police they know shit can hit the fan at any point, so they're very aware of the situation, and they were already patrolling the area. The police showed up, and this is by the chief, I believe, when he did his media brief. The police showed up 20 seconds after the first shots, and the gunman was taken out 30 seconds after the shots. Even with a police response as good as this, 20 seconds. Now give it. If you're being shot at, 20 seconds is a long time. Those police officers did a very good job. But 9 people died. 14 people were injured by gunfire in 20 seconds. 20 seconds it took that evil person to cause that much harm. What can we do to stop that? The right will say that we're not going to do gun control, so we have nothing we can do. We can't do anything. And I'm not going to say that's the correct answer. The left, on the other hand, they say gun control. I'm 100% going to say that's not the right answer. So you're asking me, what do I think? It's a few things. We can see that American history and the American culture has had guns in it its entire inception. That's what this country was founded on. So why all of a sudden now is there such a problem with mass shootings and gun violence? What's changed? Well, I can tell you one thing has changed radically, and that's the removal of God. That type of culture now has taken over, and it's deep. It's deep into our society. But I think one of the things that we could do as a society to curb the violence in this country is to bring God back into our society. It's plain to me. It really is. I think people that have Jesus in their heart has a lot less hate in their heart than somebody who's atheist. Not to say that Christianity is the answer, or Catholicism is, or Judaism, or Islam, or whatever. It's just like most religions have a set of values that can keep you from doing bad things. You know, there are extremists. We all know them. One of them was the Pulse shooter, the Pulse nightclub shooter. So I'm not saying that because he was a Muslim. I'm saying that because he called the cops and pledged his allegiance to ISIS before he did it. That's what makes him a terrorist. That's what makes him Islamic extremist. Now there are Christian extremists. They're not chopping people's heads off, but they are picketing soldiers' funerals. Most people in my area know them very well. They're called Westboro Baptist. They're an extremist. They're Christian extremists. What's the first church shooting you think of? A lot of you would probably think the Charleston, South Carolina church shooting. You know, that was where the white dude who, there was proof that he was an actual racist that targeted that church. It was one of the oldest African-American churches in Charleston. He targeted them specifically, and I believe he is on death row right now. Good riddance. We need to bring back the death penalty. I know majority of the major cities don't even support it. 9 people died and 1 person was injured at that shooting. That church shooting, as devastating as it was, could have been prevented by 1 or 2 of those people in the congregation having a conceal and carry. That's actually where I come in with my idea of how to deter this. Sometimes the death penalty won't even scare some people off because a lot of these people are murder-suicide. They don't care that they're going to die if they get caught because they already got it in mind that they're going to go out and hail bullets, either one by their own or by the police. So that's not really going to stop it either. Some of y'all might remember this. Most of you probably won't because it didn't get a lot of coverage. And it surprises me because here we are with 25 people died, 1 being a pregnant lady. 20 people were injured. I mean, that's more than the El Paso, Texas shooting, which is just all the rave right now. Why is it that you don't know about this church shooting? I'll tell you why. Because a good guy with a gun stopped it. Now, it wasn't somebody in the church, unfortunately, and that's probably why there was 25 people killed. But somebody heard the shots. To be more specific, his daughter told her dad that somebody was shooting up the church. He grabbed his AR-15, loaded it up, and ran towards the church. He engaged the shooter from a distance. He engaged this guy. He struck him a few times, but didn't kill him. Dude ended up taking off in a vehicle. Him and somebody else that heard the gunshots, the guy tells him, guy just shot up the church, I'm about to go get him. He hops in with them, and they take off after him. Now, as they're chasing him, the shooter crashes probably because of his injuries. You know, he's bleeding out, got shot up by this good guy with a gun. This good guy with the scary AR-15, the one the government wants you to not have so badly. If this guy, now let's back up to the Charleston, South Carolina shooter, because no one had a gun there. He got away. Luckily, the police was able to capture him and arrest him, I think, the morning after. But it was a huge manhunt after that. This guy who engaged the shooter in Sutherland Springs, he took it upon himself, and I encourage you to go find, because there's a few interviews with him talking about this story. He could have gotten away, and he may have never been caught. Maybe he would have been caught the next day like the Charleston, South Carolina guy. Who knows? All I know is that he stopped killing because he got shot by the good guy with the gun. Autopsy shows that he killed himself after the wreck. So again, like I was saying, a lot of these people, they don't care. They know they're gonna die either by the freaking needle or by the gun held by the police officer or their own. A lot of these people, they're such cowards. They don't want judgment passed on them. They rather have their own judgment by killing themselves. Now, that's my point. The only way you stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun, whether it's the police officer or the Good Samaritan. But like I explained in the Dayton, Ohio guy, you know, those cops were on it. They did their job and they did it well. But still, 9 people died and 14 people shot. Cops can't be everywhere at once. And even if they're as quick as they can be, people are still going to die. If there was someone there with a gun that could have reacted as soon as the first shots went off, a lot of people would say, it's a bar. You don't want people with guns in a bar. I get that. I do. But here's the thing. With that logic, you're basically saying everyone at a bar is driving drunk. Because most people, they drive there and they drive home. And this might be something that we could change in the future. You know, technically you cannot consume alcohol and have a firearm. Now, I believe that if you are under the legal limit to drive, I think you should be able to operate a firearm. Why can't we have the same standards with firearms? So I want to go, and I looked it up, of the worst by numbers, mass shootings. Number one, you probably all know this, the Vegas shooting, the one at the Country Music Festival. You know, somebody up in the, and I say somebody because if you do your own research, you'll find out the details are super all over the place, to say the least. I don't want to get into it because this video is already getting long. I don't want to get into it, but basically, I don't think he was the shooter. Even though it was the worst shooting in our freaking country, at 58 people dead, 422 people injured. Second was the Orlando, Florida Pulse nightclub shooting. I already kind of went into that. You know, it was a terrorist attack. Guy pledged allegiance to ISIS, and he goes into a gay bar and kills a bunch of gay people. Number three, Virginia Tech, the college campus that got shot up. Now, that happened before I graduated high school. So I don't know a lot of details of it. I don't even remember it, honestly. That just kind of gives you a little perspective of how it was back then. And that was a little over 10 years ago compared to today. Because back then, you didn't have social media where it was flooding you with with the media, flooding you with information all the time. 32 people died, 23 injured, 17 from gunfire. This was a murder-suicide. I did a little research on it because, like I said, I didn't know much about it. Now, people will tell you, the politicians will tell you that it's the scary AR-15 with the 30-round magazine. That's the problem, right? It's the gun. It's the gun's fault. Well, this guy, he murdered 32 people. He's third on the top list of American mass shootings, and he had 2 pistols. He didn't have a rifle. He had 2 pistols. And then number 4, unfortunately, is the one that just tore everyone's heart apart. Tore my heart apart, tore everybody in America's heart apart. And that was the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting, where 26 people died. 20 elementary school kids and 6 staff members. Apparently 2 people were injured. But he had hate in his heart, but I think it was domestic. I think the evil in him caused him to want to go to an elementary school and murder a bunch of children. I think that's just plain evil. But something that probably doesn't get told a lot about this story is that he killed his mom. He murdered his mom. He shot and killed his mom before he even went to school. But here's the thing, and this has been proposed by the right, and a lot of people don't like it. And here's my thing. I don't understand why you wouldn't like it. Arm the teachers. These the gun-free zones, they're soft targets. They tell the criminals that there will be no resistance there, that your only resistance will happen after the cops show up. Now there's a big outcry from teachers saying that they don't want to be armed. They're teachers. They want to teach. They don't want to shoot nobody. They don't want to learn how to use a gun. But at the same time, these teachers are taking courses on CPR. You're not first responders, you're teachers. Why are you learning how to do CPR? Because it saves the kids' lives, right? Same with arming yourselves. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, one of these teachers that died shielded the kids with his body. I guarantee you, just by knowing that he had enough internal fortitude to take up arms against this dude and protect his children. To tell me that you honestly wouldn't do that for your kids' safety, but you're over here learning CPR, so if they, stop breathing, you can save their lives that way, but you don't want to take up arms and defend the school, that just doesn't make no sense to me. And if I had children, I'd be extremely concerned about putting my kids in a classroom with the teacher that doesn't want to protect them. Like I said, it's not easy. I think a lot of the reason why there's no death penalty in this country is because people don't want to be that decision maker. They don't want to make that choice on somebody else's life. Sometimes we're put in a situation where we have to. I pray to God that no one ever breaks into my house, because that person will die. You don't know exactly what they're willing to do. You don't know how far they're willing to go with it. Can you really take that chance? I don't think so. And that's why our Second Amendment rights are so important. We have the right to defend ourselves, whether it be a home invader, whether it be an active shooter, whether it be a tyrannical government. And that's a topic I'm going to touch on just a little bit. Our government today in America is drunk on power. It's pretty obvious. I think anybody can understand that. But what I don't understand is the same people that are so scared of Donald Trump, they're the same ones saying, oh, the government won't ever do anything to you, but they're scared to death of the president. That makes no sense to me. I think the only reason why people can say that there's no chance the government's ever going to try and overthrow the people, I think the only reason why we can say that today is because our people are armed to the teeth. If you try and take our freedoms, we will fight back. The people that fought the Revolutionary War, they didn't fight that war because they thought they could win. They fought it because it was worth fighting. Because they knew that being an independent nation with freedoms was worth dying for. Liberty or death. It's still true today.